Good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez presiding over the 210th District Court criminal docket for August 9th, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our next case, please?
Bottom of page 11, Judge. Annex, may we have Andrea Slinger?
Miss King, how do you pronounce your first name?
Roa,
Thank you.
of course.
And I believe is that your client, Mr. Islas?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
In cause number 2019 0D06763 and 2020 0D04000, State of Texas versus Andrea Christine Slinger. Announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
Luis Islas for Miss Sliger. We're ready.
And Ms. Sliger is appearing from remotely from the jail annex. I feel like we were here just a couple of weeks ago. Give me a second to pull up my summaries. Let's see. Yes, I was at BHRTC. Did we have a
Correct.
chance to talk about that, Mr. Islas?
I did, Your Honor, and my client was going to think it over, which alternative. I had an email exchange with Miss King related to what the state would recommend for a plea of true on a motion to adjudicate. And I conveyed that to Miss Sliger, and you were going to tell the court and me what you decided.
I want to go to BHRTC, please.
Okay, you've been screened already and you qualify, Ms. Sliger. How do you pronounce your name?
Slogger.
Sliger, okay. So what I can tell you is the BHRTC process, and the reason we wanted to get you screened ahead of time is because there is a several week wait and it just varies. However, people are coming out and going in. And so if we can go ahead and modify, or you've already qualified, so we get you in the queue. I don't think anybody can give you an exact time, but you have to be in custody to go. And so you'll be in the queue. Carla, do we have any modifications on her? Or?
Yes, Your Honor, I did receive them from the officer, therefore I can go ahead and submit them right now to the annex and call Ms. Sliger as well.
Okay, so we'll get that process going, ma'am.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When I go to BHRTC, is that when my probation starts, or is it after I get out of BHRTC?
So no, I mean, you're on probation right now. Let me see. And let me go to the back up to the summary. You were probated in 20, you're supposed to term in September. So were we gonna extend her, Carla? Did we talk about that?
We need to, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll be very honest. What do you recommend, Carla, in terms of an extension? I'm really not looking to extend her much more than we need to have her successfully complete BHRTC and any follow-up treatment.
I don't know if, I'm thinking maybe a year should be okay, like the 12 months, Judge. If anything were to change, it all depends as well. If everything is followed up by Ms. Sliger as soon as she gets released and follows up with aftercare and all that.
So in an ideal case, Ms. Sliger, assuming that, you go through the treatment and no hiccups, for my purposes, an extension of 1 year should be enough. Okay, it's only, but you can't hold me to that, because if we have issues with the treatment or the aftercare plan, it might not just be a year. Okay, but what I'm telling you is that I'm good with 1 year. And, if you go through treatment and everything turns out well, you go through aftercare, everything turns out well, maybe we come back here. I mean, it's a tight turnaround. The year will be very close to what you're actually doing in treatment, but that'll count. That'll count for my purposes. I'm not, Ms. Sliger, I'm not looking to keep you longer. Okay.
Okay.
I just want you to do well.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Carla, we'll do a 1 year extension and send her off to BHRTC. Good luck, Ms. Sliger. I wish you well.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Mr. Islas?
May I
thank
be
you.
excused?
You may.
Thank you. Everyone's
Oh, okay, sorry, Mr. Islas.
Staying on page 11, Judge. Annex, may we have Raul Ontiveros?
This was also a BHRTC, you know? Or am I wrong? Oh, Carla's telling me no, I spoke too quick. No. You said the probation is saying.
Flogger. That's all I need to learn.
Oh, okay, it's time, Rick. Yes, I remember Mr. Ontiveros now. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Marufo.
In cause number 2019-0D02176, State of Texas versus Raul Ontiveros, announcement of council, please.
Roa King for the state of Texas.
And Kristen Romero, Mr. Ontiveros.
And Mr. Ontiveros is also appearing remotely from the annex. Yes, okay, I do remember Mr. Ontiveros having gone through the DWI court process. And ADA's rec is 2 years, TDC and 6 months state jail. Ms. Romero, had you had a chance to discuss that option with your client?
Yes, Sharon, I went and saw him last Friday at the annex, and he's agreeing to the recommendation. He wanted to see if the state would give him credit. He said that he went to a BHRTC type program where it was locked down. And I asked Ms. King, and today she emailed me back and said she is not inclined to give him that. So having said that, I do believe that he'll still take the 2 years and the 6 months. So I asked for the paperwork and I will go discuss it with him.
Okay, so your client is aware, I am not in agreement with giving him any of that credit. The rec is as good as it gets with the time to do. So we'll reset you all for 2 weeks. We'll reset you all for 2 weeks for a probation status hearing. And if that turns into a plea of true, just have your paperwork back in time, okay?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You too. Bye.
Next.
Back on page 8, Judge. Annex, may we have Adriana Bowen?
Am I yelling? I kind of feel like I'm yelling now. Am I yelling?
Judge, you're good.
No, it's good, Judge. It's good.
Okay, okay. Had some chocolate. All right, where's his back? Okay, page 8. Who is this?
Ariana Bowen, Your Honor.
Second on page
Okay.
8, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
Because number 2022-0D00561, State of Texas versus Ariana Bowen, announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
And Daniel Lavelar for Ariana Bowen. Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, and Ms. Bowen is appearing from the jail annex as well. We're scheduled for a bond hearing. Mr. Avelar, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge, and good afternoon. Your Honor, this is Ariana Bowen, Judge. She's all of 22 years old. She's accused of 2 offenses, Judge. One, an aggravated assault, which I think is the most recent one that just got indicted, should be on the court's docket. And another one is an assault, family violence, but it's an impeding. There's
Yes, ma'am.
in regard to her, there's not a lot going on because she's so young. There's not a lot going on with her. With regard to the actual cases, and I don't want to argue the facts, there is a lot going on. So I'll start with first. Judge, Ms. Bowen is basically a lifelong resident of here in El Paso, Judge. Her mom and sister live here in El Paso, as well as her grandparents, Judge. If she were released, she'd go live with grandparents. And I think what would help, she wants to stay with grandparents because her grandfather just got out of surgery. So she would help grandma with, with that situation, Judge. So he just got out. They're in need of some help. We're talking about a person, Judge, who has no criminal history. She's employed here in El Paso at GEC Services. So I don't think a flight is the issue here, Your Honor. I can also say, Judge, that she's been in custody she's going on 70 days, Judge. with regard to the second issue that I have that I brought up earlier, Judge, this is a toxic situation, Judge.
Who are our complainants? Is it the same complainant or different complainants?
I had a feeling that the court was going to ask, Judge, and it is the same complainant. It's a one Elijah Johnson.
Okay.
Who, upon information I believe, has actual case numbers against him, Judge. So whether Miss Bowen is released or not, I intend to investigate those case numbers that PD has to see whether or not this gentleman has any credibility, if at all.
Mm.
Judge, I'm asking, Judge, is maybe we can PR bond her? If not, maybe some kind of a low bond. She is appointed, Judge, so she has been found to be indigent. And I just realized
why is the bond so high? It's 150,000.
That might be a better question for the DA's office. I was wondering the same thing, Judge. For someone with no criminal history, a family violence issue, I don't know if it. I'm not privy to the aggravated assault, Judge. So I don't know what happened in that situation, but I was wondering the same thing, Your Honor.
Okay, so we have 100,000 on the, well, and so I'm not sure if did we call both cases, Marufo? I know only one is on the docket, but is it 2022 0D0 2740? Yes, okay. So let me see. So we're on both those cases for bond hearings on both those cases.
Right, Judge.
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
The court.
The two cases, it's 2022 2740 and 2022 0561. It's an ag assault with deadly weapon, which is 50,000 perpetuity. And then the assault fam B, which was the first case that was here in your court, is 100,000. And that was because it was a PR revo. Yes.
That's what I'm looking at right now. So we have 100,000 on that impeding case because there was a PR issue. And originally she was at 5,000.
The PR issue, Your Honor, is the new arrest. And the 20, what is it? The 2047, is that what Ms. Nieto said?
2740.
740. That's it's alleged. Well, she got picked up in June, but it was a delayed outcry. It wasn't like on scene or nobody called 911, nothing like that. And I think that's sort of my basis for for the toxic situation. She assures the court, Judge, that she will have absolutely no contact with Mr. Johnson, I think is his name, Judge, and she will absolutely abide by any other conditions that the court imposes.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for now, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. King? Or wait a minute. Ms. Rago, was that Ms. Rago? Sorry.
Yes, Your Honor. The state respectfully opposes a PR bond. Ms. Bowen was on a PR bond that was in February. The second case was 2 months later, and it's against the same complaining witness, which is a boyfriend. Each of the cases, it seems like they escalated. The state's concerned for the victim because FMS came out because the defendant allegedly ran over the complaining witness's foot. And I requested medical records on that as well. And so the state's concerned about the safety of our complaining witness, Your Honor.
Marissa, I didn't see on the PR revo, was she reporting was it solely the new offense? And do we have dates of offense for those? Maybe you can help with that, Ms. Strago. So she was at, oh, great. She was at 5,000. This document's upside down.
I can see that it was a PR revo, but what she was actually booked under was the affidavit of incarceration because she was still in custody while it went through. So I can't find the rest of the documents, Your Honor. But I will look for the affidavit.
Okay, thank you.
And Judge, I don't think SB 6 applies.
She doesn't have anything else, right? This is it. And she was, let me see.
Oh, it does apply. No, nothing else. Judge.
She was on a 5,000 cat. No, she was on a. Ay, Dios mío. Give me a second because I'm reading something else. I'm already away from what I was looking at. Okay, this is the impeding to the other piece.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. So she was not on a PR bond. The code that it was showing up as PR, it's because of the new SB6, where we have to list that she committed an offense on bail or community supervision.
Okay.
But it was she was just on a corporate surety.
What were the, do we know the injuries on the ag assault?
Injury to the foot. We're pending medical records. A car ran over her, the complaining witness's foot.
Is the complainant under some kind of charge right now? Is he a defendant? Do you have contact with your complainant?
So we have, the first time was 3/8/2022, and then 7/5/2022 did not want to press charges. I requested contact yesterday. I haven't received anything. I do not show, let me see. There isn't a case linked. There's a number, let me see. I plugged in the number in portal and nothing came up for the victim's criminal history.
Okay. All righty. All right. I'll give you a second to look at that. If not, just let me know if you have anything else.
Sorry, Judge, and he might not have it. The issue that I brought up was we believe that there are case numbers that involve Mr. Johnson that either can be followed up or pursued or something like that. I don't know if the detectives have not made an arrest, I don't know what's going on.
If they're
But I
pending
do want to look into
something.
Your Honor, so I show, there's a date filed and it showed the court family violence. And the last couple numbers are in FV. I put that number in portal and I don't have access to it and it didn't pull anything up for me.
Yeah, okay. No, I was just wondering if you were going to have issues, maybe making contact with him, but all right. Anything else? No, and no resources, right, Mr. Avila?
Very limited, Judge. Like I said, her mom is a single mom, and she does have a little sister, so she's raising that girl.
And was she living with the complainant, or what is the?
You know what, Judge? I think at one point they were, but that ended.
That's done. Okay.
That's done.
Okay.
And then, like I said, grandparents. I think they can come up with a little cash.
Okay. So what we're going to do for each of these cases is I'm going to grant the request to reduce the bond. In each of these cases, the bond will be a $5,000 split bond, 2,500 cash surety, 2,500 PR. She may not have any contact with the complainant or come within 200 yards of the residence, either the location that it looks like it was an apartment or any residence of the complainant. She's going to report once a month to PR bond. She's going to be subject to testing, curfew, use no illegal drug or alcohol. You may not change your place of residence, which I'm understanding to be with family. You may not change your place of residence or leave El Paso County without court permission. Let me see. Any other conditions, Ms. Ragua? I'm kind of drawing a blank.
Curfew, Your Honor, if possible.
I think I said curfew, so we're doing 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. unless she's working. Marissa, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, here's my bond order. Curfew, victim, subject to testing. No mental health concerns here?
I don't think it's one of those cases, Judge.
No? Okay. So then those are the conditions. So the request is granted as to both cases.
We appreciate it, Your Honor.
Got it. Thank you very much, Ms. Bowen.
Thank you. Ms. Bowen, when you get out, contact us.
Call your attorney.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Who's next?
Staying with Mr. Avelar, bottom of page 10, Judge.
Mhm.
Annex, may we have Adan Melendez?
Thank you, Mr. Moto.
Okay. Ready?
I know those. Oh, okay.
In cause number 2018-0D02591, State of Texas versus Adan Angel Melendez. Announcement of council, please.
Roma King for the state of Texas.
Avalar for Adan Melendez.
Okay, so Mr. Melendez is appearing from the jail annex. We're set for a pre-rebel. I think we're at 180 days, correct? Did you have a chance to speak with your client about that, Mr. Avelar?
Judge, I've not. I was expecting some kind of a visit or a telephone call. But I can either breakout room with him or visit him later this week, Judge.
I can't give you a breakout room right now. I would do it at the end of the session. So I don't have a problem resetting it for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I'll see him because I plan on later this week, Judge.
Okay, so we'll do August 23rd at 3 p.m. If it's gonna be a done deal, then let's just have him signed up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Melendez. Your attorney's gonna go see you. Who's next?
Staying on page 10, Judge. Annex, may we have Gomez, Conrad Gomez?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hall.
May I be excused, Judge?
Yes, have a good day.
Okay, Judge. Thank you, Mr. Moto.
Conrad?
What's Mr. Gomez's bond?
$60,000, Your Honor.
Oh, there he is. Okay, go ahead.
In cause number 2022-0D02348, State of Texas versus Conrad Gomez. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Alyssa Nava on behalf of Mr. Gomez, Your Honor, and we're ready to proceed.
And Mr. Gomez is appearing from the jail annex. We're scheduled for a bond hearing. Ms. Nava, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gomez is a U.S. citizen, has his GED, and if released, will have the support of his mother and sisters. Mr. Gomez would live with his mother. His mom owns a trucking business, and Mr. Gomez will work for his mother. His dad did pass away this past December, and Mr. Gomez needs to get back to work to help his mom pay the bills. Mr. Gomez's mom also suffers from lupus and diabetes and needs the help of her son. Mr. Gomez does suffer from depression and has been diagnosed with bipolarism, which he has been prescribed medication in the past. If released, Mr. Gomez will take his medication and follow any conditions the court feels is necessary. The complaining witnesses in this case are the family of Mr. Gomez's wife. She has 2 children who look to Mr. Gomez as their father. It is my understanding at this time that they do not want to prosecute and will not cooperate with the state. I'm working on providing non-prosecution affidavits to the state. On the day of the incident, Mr. Gomez went to the residence to speak to his wife when it's our contention that her family became aggressive with Mr. Gomez. They're also alleging that he had a weapon. However, it's our contention that he did not, and a gun I don't believe was ever located. Mr. Gomez is not able to afford much of a bond. If anything, his family may be able to put up about $500, but Mr. Gomez would like to get back to work and start helping his family. One of the biggest issues is because his dad passed, there is money owed to the government, which he would help his mom pay off and secure her home for her in the future. I'm respectively asking for a very low bond so Mr. Gomez can bond out and so we can fight this case outside the jail.
All righty. Ms. Rago?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's concerned about the defendant's criminal history. He had POMs from 2006, which are misdemeanors. In addition, he did have an ag assault with a deadly weapon that was in 2010. He was placed on probation and was revoked to 3 TDC. In addition to that, there was a VPO, and that was a misdemeanor as well. The complaining witness indicated that the defendant lifted his shirt and showed his gun and said, "Don't make me shoot you." The complaining witness also said he didn't pull out the gun completely. The state's concerned about the victim's safety, and based on the criminal history, Your Honor.
Have you had any contact with your complainants?
Let's see.
No.
It's not for you, Mr. Gomez, that's for the state.
So I requested contact on the 25th of July, and it indicated that the contact numbers were incorrectly placed in, and I requested a better locate that was during this week, and I haven't gotten a response yet back.
Ms. Nieto, there was back in May a KPS on a misdemeanor case that's outstanding. That's for an assault, an AFV. Does that arise out of the same incident as this one? Can somebody, maybe Ms. Rago, you can tell me? And then I want to know why was he having issues reporting to PR Bond? Because again, I don't see the affidavit or any supporting docs on the KPS. I want to know if that was maybe something that was filed before we had this ag assault and the ag assault triggered the KPS on the misdemeanor, or if he really was not compliant on PR Bond.
On the, I'm sorry, Judge, on the misdemeanor case, it's showing that May 9th, 2022, the court did a judgment nisi for failure to appear. It was on it's a corporate surety bond. I don't see the PR portion of it.
Do you know what date that was?
I just know that the nisi went out on May 9th of 2022, and the KPS was issued the next day on the 10th.
What's the alleged date of offense on this one?
Let me pull it, Your Honor, sorry.
Yeah. Open too many screens and I have to close them out before.
It's June 1st, 2022, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. So I'm sorry, what was the state's position? You're opposed to any reduction or opposed to just a straight PR? What are you opposed to?
Any reduction, Your Honor.
So I was just looking at the warrants. It was 20,000 each ag assault, right? So each warrant was at 20,000 because we have, is it 3 victims, 3 complainants? Is that how we got to 60 or?
I believe so, Your Honor. And just for the purposes of the record, the hearing that is a no-show was a dismissal hearing. And from what I remember speaking with my client, and I don't have it in my notes, I don't believe he thought that he had to appear. So I believe there was some miscommunication. I'm not his appointed attorney on that case. The public defender is, but that case was set for a dismissal.
Okay. All righty. So where is he gonna live? I mean, what's the family situation that is gonna not?
So he would live with his mother. I apologize. He would live with his mother, Your Honor, that way to avoid any other issues with the wife's family.
And the misdemeanor AFV is against who? Is it against the wife?
I don't know. I don't believe so. But from the top of my memory, I don't recall. And again, I'm not appointed to represent him on that case.
Your Honor, it looks like the CW is the mom. That's from the note from the ADA and CC1, Your Honor.
And he's gonna live with the mom? Let me go see something. All right, hold on.
So specifically, the name is Liliana Gomez.
That is his mother.
Okay. So we're gonna have an issue with that. I'm gonna have an issue with that. I'm not gonna have him living somewhere where he has an outstanding case, whether it was gonna be dismissed, you don't want to prosecute. We're gonna have to have a different living arrangement. It's not Is there, Ms. Raul, is there a PR bond order? I bet there isn't active, or Marissa, maybe you can tell me this in the misdemeanor case.
No,
I don't
Your
see a
Honor,
PR
I
bond
see
law.
an order. I see PR was denied on June 6th of 2022. There's an order denying bond. So it's just the amount that's set on the current jailing.
Okay, all righty. Okay, so that's gonna be the only problem, Ms. Nava. I am going to reduce Mr. Gomez's bond to 20,000, 10,000 cash surety, 10,000 PR. If he is able to bond out, he'll be reporting to the PR bond office once a month. He is to have no offensive contact with any of these complainants, including Ms. Liliana Gomez and the complainants in this indicted case. Curfew 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. He is to possess absolutely no weapons or ammo. Yeah, no contact with the complainants. You may not come within 200 yards of either of those residences or any of the residences that the complainants decide if they move or anything like that. May not leave El Paso County, may not change your place of residence without court permission. So that might be something you need to figure out, Mr. Gomez, is where to live, because while we have active cases, I'm not going to have you living with complainants, even if they're due to be dismissed. Hold on a second. Subject to testing, no illegal drug or alcohol. I feel like I haven't done a bond. Commit no new offenses. All right.
And you're one of the difficult things, and and we have to talk with him about getting a new job, as he was going to work for his mom, but it's my understanding, no contact at all,
Okay.
or no offensive contact
Yeah,
anywhere.
we'll do no offensive contact with mom.
Thank you, Your Honor.
But I don't want
It-
any, and no, I don't know, is wife one of the complainants in the ag assault?
No, Your Honor.
It's just the family. So no
Yes.
contact with wife's family. And, well, that's it. So no contact on the felony CWs, no offensive with the misdemeanor CW. And then I guess he can be at that residence. As long as mom is okay having him there, then that's fine, because they're going to be working together. All right,
Yes,
no
ma'am.
weapons, no weapons. So, all right, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you very much.
May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Top of page 10, Judge. Annex, may we have Covington, Robert Covington? Sure.
Is that you, Mr. Covington?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're about to get started. Hang on. Go ahead, Mr. Butterfield.
In cause number 2022-0D01174, State of Texas versus Robert Covington. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Raug on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Victor Parra on behalf of Mr. Covington.
Okay, and Mr. Covington is appearing remotely from the jail annex. I think we were reset a week. We had some technical issues, so let's get to it. We're set for a bond hearing. Mr. Bobber, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Respectfully, I believe the bond, I don't know if it's either $50,000 or $75,000 at this point. Mr. Covington has been incarcerated for over 4 months. He is charged with aggravated robbery. He's originally from St. Louis, Missouri. He's been here in El Paso for at least 10 years. He lives in the Tierras, I believe. He lives with his wife. He's been married for 2 years. Her name is Elena Becerra. And Mr. Covington is employed doing side jobs. Judge, again, he's charged with aggravated robbery. The allegation is that he was taking this individual's vehicle and that and that he backed up. The reason I'm bringing that up, Judge, is aggravated robbery is very different from unauthorized use. They say that the police report indicates that there's a video which shows Mr. Covington getting in the vehicle, but that's not available on portal. It says that it's been requested. And the reason I think that's important, Judge, is because some of the statements from the complaining witness and the injuries and just inconsistent. So, of course, that video will be very telling to see if there was ever contact made with the complaining witness. Judge, they do have some financial hardship. We're hoping that the court could grant the 20,000 split bond.
Okay, let me see. I'm going through the PSR. Okay, Ms. Rago, is this yours? Yes?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mhm.
The state respectfully opposes a reduction. The defendant does have some criminal history. There was a theft locally, and he pled. It was a state jail. He did 80 days there. There's a criminal trespass first degree, which was a misdemeanor in St. Louis. In addition, in St. Louis, there was an unlawful use of a weapon, which was in 2017, where he did 4 years. That was the first pen trip, Your Honor. In addition, in St. Louis, there's an unlawful possession of a firearm, delivery of a controlled substance except 35 grams or less. And there's no disposition. That was in 2020. The state's concerned about the victim as well. The complaining witness was using her car, left her wallet in her car, and the cars were stolen. As the defendant got in the car, backed up and over the defendant, or over the complaining witness, and she was transported to Del Sol. It looked like it was over most of her body. The complaining witness, as of 7/11, was on board. I requested contact again this week, and I haven't received a response from my victim advocate.
And Judge, again, there's a statement by the complaining witness where she says she saw him eye to eye. There's no pictures of any injuries. There's not even a description by the police officers that they saw injuries. And again, I got the radiology reports back, and they're all negative. And then she also claims that she ran to somebody to try to get help or.
Oh, yeah. So my primary problem is that, as you all have both been speaking, I still can't finish going through the rap because there are so many incidents of robbery, offenses involving vehicles, violent offenses. I'm still not done. So I'm still in Missouri. Give me a second. I know it might be early on, but is there a rec in this case?
It's 15 TDC, Judge.
All right, let me just get to Texas. We have a theft, a failure to ID, not guilty, POM, and then we have our ag robbery. Get to the end. The last offense in St. Louis is March 29, 2021. Yeah. So respectfully, that request is denied. The bond will remain the same. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Staying at page 10, Judge. Annex, may we have Lopez, Eric Lopez?
Your Mesa.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Lopez, Eric.
What's the bond on Mr. Lopez? Wait, is that what we're here for? Yes. What's the bond on Mr. Lopez?
I believe it's 150 grand, Judge.
150?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Lopez, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You understand English well?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, let's get started.
In cause number 2022-0D02364, State of Texas versus Eric Elijah Lopez. Announcement of counsel, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Eric Meza for the defense, Judge. We're ready to proceed as well.
And Mr. Lopez is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We're scheduled for a bond hearing. Mr. Mesa, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. A little bit of background about Mr. Lopez. He's 19 years old, born and raised in El Paso, Texas. He is not married and does not have any kids. He does have some ties to the community. Prior to being arrested, he was living with his grandmother in Anthony, New Mexico. That is also the address where he would reside if allowed out on bond, whether it be cash, surety, or PR. That address is 1611 Lou Andes Road in 88021. His aunt and her 2 kids also live there with the grandmother. Now, Your Honor, some of the main factors, we understand, the severity and the nature of the offense and the underlying facts. However, my client is not a danger to the community based on his age, his lack of priors, but most importantly, his involvement or lack thereof in this case. This seems to be a case where there's multiple co-defendants. Allegedly, people stormed into a hotel room. I think
the Best Western in Anthony, right?
Correct, Judge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Familiar with it. So how is your client different?
Well, our client, there's little to no evidence that our client was even actually there, Judge, in the room, storming the room. He's not contesting that he wasn't, with these guys or found with these guys, but there's allegedly surveillance footage that shows a group that hasn't confirmed to be my client. And more importantly, Judge, I believe in the supplements that represent, they speak to Gallegos, who's involved with the case, and he names people that stormed into the room and that were involved, and my client is never named either. So everything is aligning itself with the fact that my client was not actually there. At best, his involvement was something minimal. He did not have a weapon. There's no evidence in any of that. Now, as far as affording the bond, he's only 19 and he was only working at Home Depot for about 3 months. And so he is also indigent. He has no money. Now, I understand that the court cannot award a full PR, but we are requesting that the court award the minimal that they would consider in this case. I do think ultimately, I can speak to Ms. Rago and we can reason. I just don't see the state dismissing his case for lack of involvement with the other co-defendants pending. And so, we would like him to be out on bond, with the ability to fight this case, because I do think ultimately justice will get served. But in the meantime, I don't want him to feel oppressed and feel the need to plead to something just to get out. It should be noted, Judge, that the rec in this case, there is a probation rec. And so I believe there was a TDC or probation rec on there. And I'm assuming that's based on his lack of priors. And I can't speak for them, but I know that there's a deferred probation rec on there. Ms. Rago can correct me if I'm wrong.
Your Honor, the rec is 10 deferred or 5 to due.
All right, so I show his bond being 250,000. Am I wrong on that? I think you said 150, Mr. Mesa. Marissa, will you double check me?
I said 250.
It's 250,000, Your Honor.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ms. Rago, I didn't even ask. Did you respond?
No, not yet, Your Honor. The state's concerned about the victim as well. Like Mr. Mesa explained, there were 4 subjects. 2 of them had a gun, and then two subjects actually pistol with the complaining witness. One of the guns was an AR, the other one was a pistol. They were acting in unison, and so that's the state's concern for the victim, Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
We're not disputing those facts at all. It more so boils down to the fact that there's no evidence that our client had a pistol whip, wasn't even involved with this at all. So, I understand the concern for the victim, but as far as my client, I'm not seeing that they can even link him that he was even there.
So, anything else?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Nothing further, Judge.
So respectfully, that request to reduce bond is denied. The bond will remain the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, who's next?
Back on page 8, Judge.
Go ahead.
Annex, may we have Buenrostro, Silvia Maria Buenrostro?
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Ms. Buenrostro, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started.
Because number 2021 0D02943, State of Texas versus Silvia Maria Buenrostro. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Honoraga from Ms. Buenrostro, Your Honor, we're ready.
So let me just double check. Don't we have multiple cases on Ms. Buenrostro?
We do, Your Honor. All of the misdemeanors have been dismissed. My client has been over a year in custody since this case. She was first arrested on July 4th of 2021. And then at some point, I believe around October, that's when, either October, November, that's when she was transferred to competency court. And then we're back on the original court.
Okay, so she's being held on. So I just want to make sure we have all of our, are any of them, of all of our felony cases, are they all new cases, or is one of them a probation case?
No, Your Honor, the information that I have, all of the cases are new cases and they're all being filed.
Okay, so we need to also call 2021 0D02026 and 2022 0D00067. So bond hearings, I don't show that 2026 was actually set for a bond hearing today. Are you wanting to proceed on a bond hearing on that one?
Yes, Your Honor, it was our intention on all three cases.
I don't see that motions were filed on all three cases, so that could be why they were not set. Let's see. Before we get started, Ms. Rago, can you give me dates of offense for all of our felony cases?
Yes, Your Honor. Let me pull that up. So the assault of a pregnant person, that was 6/30/2021. The robbery was 7/3/2021. The possession of a controlled substance, PG1, that was out of the same incident, 7/3/2021. The assault on a public servant was 10/28/2021.
Okay, and Marissa, can you give me the bonds on each of those? Is she on no bond? No, she's not on no bond. Is she on like 100,000?
I may be wrong, Your Honor, but I think I have on the robbery and the possession of controlled substance, I have a $13,500 bond.
That's correct. On that one, it's 13,500, and 2943 is 50,000. And she is not booked on the one ending in 0067, which is the assault on a pregnant person. That one, she received a 5,000 PR bond before indictment. So she is not booked on that case.
Okay, so she's not booked on that one. And then let me make sure I have the cause numbers right. That's 6/7 is 5,000 PR. And then our assault on a public servant, that's the one we have here. That one's 50,000. Okay. And then we have a possession with robbery, right? And that's 13,500. Okay, alrighty. And none of these have settings, okay, because we just got back. Alrighty, go ahead, Mr. Odaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, information that I have from my client is she's 25 years old. She's single. She has 3 children. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Technology is not working with me today.
You want us to come back to you? Is it that bad?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
I was like, is it that bad? Do you need us to come back to you? If
No, I just need 1 second. Yeah.
Sure.
Sorry.
Is there a rec on these cases, Ms. Rago?
Yes, Your Honor. It's 3 to do or 7 AP with the HRTC and mental health caseload.
I'm ready, Your Honor, if I may proceed.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Rago.
Before her arrest, she was living at 300 Frankfurt Avenue here in El Paso, Texas, 79930. She was living there with her mother, her brother, and her 3 kids. I've been in contact with his father, with her father, I'm sorry. And if Ms. Buenrostro were to make bond, she has a place to stay there with her mother at the same address. Before she was transferred to the competency court, Judge, and I just sent an email from ADA. I was dealing with ADA Herrera before on these cases, and back on October when she had 3 months in custody, the recommendation was 3 years on the possession of controlled substance. They were going to dismiss the robbery based on the supplements and all the witness statements. I guess at the time we agreed that it doesn't meet the elements for a robbery. It's a misdemeanor case. And then they were going to dismiss some of the misdemeanors and time server on some other misdemeanors. So the recommendation was 3 years probation. I discussed that recommendation with my client, and we came back with a counteroffer for time. And at the time, Mr. Herrera was considering to do some reductions and do some sort of time served for her. However, that was the time when my client was transferred to the competency court. Ever since she was transferred to the competency court, she had served 10 more months in custody. So she's on a little bit over 13 months in custody. All of the misdemeanors have been dismissed. And the only thing that is holding her right now is these felony cases. I would like to have the opportunity to discuss these cases with Ms. Rago to see what we can do on her cases, but I would like to see if Ms. Buenrostro's bonds can be reduced to an amount that perhaps her family can post that she's served substantially time in jail as of today. And I mean, based on the information that I had before, that the district attorney's office was willing to offer something where she didn't have to serve more time when she had served only 3 months. I didn't suppose that the district attorney's office intention was for her to serve more than 4 or 5 months in jail. She's now served 13 months for the offenses. And just based on the allegations, Your Honor, my client is indigent. She has appointed counsel. And for that reason, we're asking for that reduction, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Rago.
Your Honor, the state's concerned about her criminal history and her mental health. She had a possession of a controlled substance, PG1, that was a 1244A in 2019. After that, there was an AFB in 2019 as well. There was an assault that was reduced down to a misdemeanor. She pled to 120 days in 2020. In addition, most of the cases, they do have to deal with mental health. And so the state's concerned about the defendant's mental health. I do see Mr. Udaga, he emailed me Brian's previous recommendation, which was to plead to 2021 0D0 2026 count 1, which is 3 AP. And then it was to plead to some of the misdemeanor thefts as well. Those have been dismissed. I'm willing to match that. There wasn't an indication on the assault on a pregnant person. And so I'll put that also as part of the plea, Your Honor.
So what are you saying in terms of the bond? Are you opposed to a reduction or no?
I'm not opposed to a reduction. I would just request that a PR component for mental health would be addressed, Your Honor.
So have you reviewed, I'm looking at the PSR, I'm looking at the criminal history from West Virginia, Texas, Nebraska, and California. All of them involve violent offenses and some variation of a theft, whether that be a robbery or lower, involving vehicles. And it seems like everything has been timed. She gets some time, she comes out. The last offense in California was just in 2020. Let me see. 5/9/2020, arrest, detained, cited, taking a vehicle without the consent of an owner. Let's see, disorderly conduct, intox, drug, alcohol. Let's see, let's go back, 2019. Burglary. 2019, another burglary, possession of a controlled substance, possession of unlawful paraphernalia. Let's see, let's keep going because there's a lot here. Obstruction of a public officer, controlled substance, under the influence, I'm not sure what this means, use under the influence, disorderly conduct. Let's see, let's see, 2018. Assault on a person, school or park property. Yeah, each of these bonds is appropriate. The request is denied. We need to set a trial track for Ms. Buenrostro. Let's get her as early as we can. Well, you tell me, Mr. Uraga, what kind of timetable do you want for her trials?
It's fine, Your Honor. I mean, we have all the evidence on these cases for since a long time ago. So whenever the court's available.
Okay, if I can set you in 2022, I will. But I'm going to leave that to Myrna to tell me if we have a good time to set her. If not, we'll set her early 2023. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Next.
Staying on page 8, Judge. And next, may we have Arturo Castañón?
Okay.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Hi, Mr. Serrano. Mr. Castañón. You ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Cause number 2020-0D0, 4353, and 2021-0D0, 0628, and 2021-0D0, 0306, State of Texas versus Arturo Castañón. Announcement of counsel, please.
Samantha Rogg on behalf of the state. State's ready, Your Honor.
Victor Serrano, we have defendant, Your Honor, ready.
Okay, and Mr. Castañón is appearing from remotely from the jail annex. We are scheduled for bond hearings. Is he on no bonds, Mr. Serrano?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and we had a bond hearing back in June, right? Okay.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, Your Honor, since June of actually about a month and a half ago, we had a bond hearing on one of the new charges, and Judge Nunez reduced the bond from 75,000 to 35,000. In speaking with the family can put up a little bit of money to for him to get out, Your Honor, for him to be allowed and released on bond. They're ready to pay the $3,500 that the Judge Nunez ordered. However, the only thing that's holding him is this. In discussing the cases with Mr. Castañón, I've learned that there came a time where Mr. Castañón notified probation that he had suffered from COVID. And as you all know now, you can catch COVID perhaps within a week or so. That's what's happening to Mr. Castañón. He had COVID back early part of January, and then again in February. He notified through emails on February 22nd probation that he was still dealing with COVID issues, and that's the reason he couldn't do some of what he was ordered to do. Nevertheless, Your Honor, what we can tell the court is that Mr. Castañón is now 41 years of age. He is a lifelong resident of El Paso. He is a certified electrician. At any time he wants, he can go and regain his job with Wizard Electric. He would be earning between $10 and $11 an hour. He's now been incarcerated for over 2 months. Until now, Your Honor, that's one of the reasons he was the motions to detain or the bench warrants was because allegedly there were new offenses from February. Well, Judge, those cases haven't been filed. Now it's almost 4 months and nothing has come of them. One of them is allegedly possession of controlled substance, and the other one is possession of fraudulent documents. Now, the new offense from May, I believe it's an aggravated assault deadly weapon. What was failed to mention at last hearing, Your Honor, is that this complaining witness had actually assaulted Mr. Castañon. He ended up in the hospital. He almost passed because she stabbed him in the neck. So we have evidence. He reported to the police. Nothing ever happened. And right now, my understanding is that since that alleged incident of May, there's been no contact between Mr. Castañon and that complaining witness. If the court grants him a bond, Mr. Castañon would be living with his parents at 12128 Valley Quail here in El Paso. His father's a truck driver. His mother is the one who lives here, primarily spends most of the time here. So that's where he would be living. Also, he would, like I stated, he could go and obtain his new employment and his previous employment with him, with Electric, or he can work on his own, Your Honor. Like I said, he's been there over 2 months. I do not know if there's already a rec on the cases, but I believe what we're waiting for, Your Honor, is for this new cases to be indicted, and it's been long enough, Judge. So we don't even know where we're at. I mean,
where's our ag assault, Ms. Raul?
Your Honor, so it's in screening and it's on the list to go to the grand jury. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we can get the response with what happens with the grand jury.
So what are the resources, Mr. Serrano? I mean, hold on. Before I go there, let me back up.
Yes,
Carla, looking at the case summary, the recommendation, have you looked at that recommendation? So the recommendation is just to modify him to BIP with an ag assault, potential ag assault.
That's correct.
And then I guess he has a misdemeanor assault still outstanding, Mr. Serrano, that is filed.
I do not know if that is the case, Your Honor, but I do not have access to this probation case, as I requested two or three times, and as you well know, normally they tell us it's inactive and we can't access it.
You can't touch it. Yeah.
Your Honor, so the AFB, it's 2006027 CR that was declined.
Yeah.
That was declined on April 17, 2022.
Okay, so there's no assault case, so it's just the ag assault.
That's correct, Judge.
All right.
And the bond company on the cases from April, they haven't filed anything to surrender his bond, so we're assuming they're okay with him being bonded out, Your Honor. And that's where he would go, to the company so they can be bonded out.
Let me go back over here. Oh, already clicked out of it. Jeez. So I'm sorry, Ms. Rocco, your position on the bond?
Your Honor, the state respectfully opposes a PR or a bond. As indicated in the report from probation, it looks like he hasn't reported. That was for February, March, and April. In addition, he didn't do UABAs November 2021, December, January 2022 through May 2022. Failed to attend the drug offender education November, December, and then January through May as well. And so it looks like not much was happening on probation, Your Honor.
If I may, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Judge, it seems to me that Mr. Castañon has issues with drugs and substance abuse. So he's now been there for 2 months. So I believe he's probably sobered up. So maybe we can just give him the opportunity to get out on bond and hopefully prove us wrong and complete his probation. And in the meantime, wait until those new cases are filed, because we don't know what's going on with those. What if anything's going to happen?
Has there been any substance use screening, Carla? Let me go through this assessment again. I mean, this summary.
Your Honor, he was ordered weekly testing. And he Mr. Castellon did go and submit drug testing, but not on the weekly basis when as instructed.
And then we get a new drug offensive, right?
Allegedly, Judge, yes, in April.
And then yeah, I just don't feel like I have a good handle on Mr. Castañon. But I will say this, I'm going to reset his bond hearing for 2 weeks, Mr. Serrano, and see if we have our ag assault.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
will consider your request at that time, because I agree, we're waiting on an ag assault. We don't know what's here nor there. But I have issues with Mr. Castañon and his probation. And so there's a recommendation here that I'm not quite understanding, just to be modified to BIP when we've got a problem. I mean, you yourself, hold on, Mr. Castañon. You yourself are saying, we've probably got some substance use issues. So the problem is, it looks like, whatever screening was supposed to be done was not completed because your client did not participate. I don't know if that's due to being ill or some other reason, but we haven't addressed it yet. Had he been modified at any time before, Carla?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah.
He was just placed on probation November of 2021. Your Honor, if I may add, probation's recommendation is also to be screened for substance abuse caseload.
Okay. All righty. We're going to be looking at all of that next time. If we have an ag assault, then I think that's kind of it'll affect things. But if not, we're going to have to look at how we go forward on his probation if we do. Okay. We'll come back in 2 weeks. Mr. Castañon, I don't know if you want to speak with your attorney. I'm happy to give you some time where you can speak privately at the end of the session. If not, Mr. Serrano will be in touch with you. Okay.
If we may speak at the end, Your Honor.
Sure. Just don't let me forget. Don't leave. We'll have a breakout room at the end, Mr. Castañon. Okay. And if you need to come back to me, then let me know, Mr. Serrano. Okay.
I will do so, Your Honor.
All right. Who's next?
Top up a J Judge. And next, man, we have Bautista, Gilbert Bautista.
Coming right on.
Ready?
In cause number 2020-0D00002, State of Texas versus Gilbert Bautista. Announcement of council, please.
Samantha Ragg on behalf of the state. States ready, Your Honor.
And Brent Stevens for Mr. Bautista. We're ready, Your Honor.
And Mr. Bautista is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We are scheduled for a bond hearing. Mr. Stevens, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client is on probation deferred adjudication for robbery. I believe it's an 8-year term. There are no new charges. He's 25, from El Paso. He's lived here his entire life, U.S. citizen. He does have a place to reside if released. With his girlfriend, who's Jennifer Stakes. He also has employment available if released. My client denies having mental health issues, and I was not able to obtain any type of a diagnosis. But I did talk to Ms. Pineda prior to the hearing, and got a recommendation from the probation department. So I would like to hear from her if we could, Judge.
Sure. I remember Mr. Bautista, weren't you were working, was this the one who had the car wash in Odessa? And I was trying to work with him on that, and then I couldn't get any proof of that. And then we would tell him to stay here and test, and he couldn't show up, and lots of issues. So that's why I'm kind of, so then we end up having failures to report from February to June, because I guess he just decided to do what he wanted. I'm a little confused, Carla, why the recommendation is just to screen for the MHI caseload. still. Especially if I'm hearing from Mr. Stevens that at least his client doesn't think there's a mental health concern. I don't know if Mr. Stevens agrees with that.
I would definitely recommend substance abuse treatment. Maybe go through TAP again. His current significant other is pregnant, and she runs a business that employs Mr. Bautista. She's been in constant contact with me. From conversations with her, it seems like she would probably be a stabling influence in his life.
All right. I think Mr. Stevens wanted to hear from you, Carla.
Your Honor, yeah, so Mr. Stevens did reach out to me, and I did let him know what probation did state on the summary, Judge, and I do need to find out more or less why this is the recommendation, and then just hearing what Mr. Stevens mentioned. But like I told Mr. Stevens earlier, I mean, obviously probation wants to work with Mr. Bautista, but he has been in front of the court for, 2 times, I believe. He's absconded. We come back to court. We continue to give him opportunities, and then he absconds again. So my question to Mr. Stevens was, if Mr. Bautista is willing to continue on probation and actually comply, then probation needs to work something with him. And like I said, I will find out as far as the MHI screening, but if there's other caseloads, anything else we can screen him for. But
I feel like with his erratic history in terms of him being able to comply, I feel like I need to lock him down. I feel like I'm at BHRTC, so I would like to get him screened.
Yes, Judge.
And I could go visit with Mr. Bautista. If we could have another setting in the near future, I would appreciate it, Judge.
I'll give you 2 weeks and we can look at the bond again and have it just be both probation review and a bond, okay?
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, we're coming back in 2 weeks.
And if I come up with additional information, because I was looking for mental health diagnosis, if I come up with something that I missed, I'll make sure to bring it to the court's attention.
Please do. Can we go ahead and can we start screening him so we have have him screened by the 2 weeks? Or do we have to wait for something?
For BHRTC, Judge? I can follow up with Ms. Salayandia to see what we can do regarding that.
If we end up there, Mr. Stevens, I don't want to wait another, 2-3 weeks to see if to get him screened. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bautista. Who's next?
Page 9, Judge Chavez. And next, may we have Mr. Chavez?
Oh, there he is. Is that him? Looks different. Okay. Go ahead.
In cause number 2022-0D02583 and 2021-0D02709 and 2021-0D00712 and 2020-0D06487, State of Texas versus Barnabé Chavez. Announcement of council, please.
Preston Munson for the state on 2022 0D02583. State is ready, Your Honor.
Samantha Rago on behalf of the probation cases. State's ready, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Brent Stevens for Mr. Chavez. We're ready, Your Honor.
Okay, and so these are all set for bond hearings. I guess the new one and the one we were waiting on is that 2022 case, right? So let me just ask right off the bat, Mr. Munson, have you looked at it? Do we have a rec?
Yes, we do. I believe the rec was time, considering the circumstances of that he's already on probation, that he was placed on probation earlier this year, I believe. and that he picked up this new one just recently.
Is there a number?
Yes, let me pull it up 1 second.
And then I'm showing his bond being 30,000. Is that right, Brent? Is that what you see?
It's 30,000 on the new case, but no bonds whatsoever on the probation cases.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So let me just double check with the state and then we can get started on the bond hearings.
My recommendation for this one will be 3 years.
Okay. All right, Mr. Stevens, you may proceed on your bonds.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. As mentioned, my client's being held on a $30,000 cash or surety bond on this smuggling of persons case, and no bonds at all on the probation cases. We previously were before the court for this issue a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember the exact date, but the court declined to set a bond at that time for the probation. Since then, I've spoken to Mr. Munson about the cases. To me, it sounds like we're probably going to need motions to suppress, because the evidence in this case is going to be in my client's statement. So that's number one. It's going to take some time to proceed. As far as release, and my client was reporting, this is a case where I subpoenaed the records from the drug treatment facility, and he was taking UAs and he was taking them monthly. The allegation in the motion to adjudicate or revoke is that he's supposed to be doing that weekly, but he was going, it was once every month, and he was negative each time, and he was reporting, so that wasn't an issue. There was a short time frame, however, because he just went on probation for these cases, and they're state jail felonies. My client's family is in contact with me, I mean, just constantly. His dad calls me all the time from the Isleta liquor store, which is where his father works as a custodian of some sort. And Barnaby informed me, as well as his dad, that if he's released, that's where he'll be working with his dad at that store. He'll also be living with his parents. He's a U.S. citizen. He's been in El Paso almost 10 years now. He's single. He has 2 kids. He is ordered to pay child support. Now, in this case, I do have information from the jail medical records about a mental health issue, and there's a 1622 in addition to the medical records. So from what I can tell, he qualifies under 17.032 for a presumed PR bond. So we're asking for a split PR bond. His family indicated to me they would be willing to pay some surety portion, but we're asking for it to be as low as possible. So if the court will consider doing that, we would hope that it, maybe we could keep it below the 30,000.
Was he, when he pled, he was in custody when he pled, right? So he was in jail for I think for a minute on the underlying probation cases, if I'm not mistaken. His bonds on those cases, pre-plea were 40, they were 50,000 split, 40-10. Is that everything, Mr. Stevens?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Schragle, where are you on the bonds for the probation cases?
Your Honor, the state's concerned just because the defendant didn't show up for and didn't do community service from February 2022 through May, and then he picked up this new arrest, which is in June of 2025, June 25th, 2022. It goes from not providing weekly UAs, not doing community service, not attending substance abuse, not attending parenting classes. The state's open to a reasonable bond, but not a PR bond, Your Honor.
Ms. King, are you there? Maybe she's not. I'm trying to remember if this is the one where we had on the UUV a victim statement that I remember. Okay, well, Mr. Munson, did you have anything on the bond? Did you already tell me?
I'm not, but Your Honor, I think 30,000 for the bond for the smuggling 3 counts is reasonable considering the circumstances. Mr. Chavez has been revoked from probation multiple times through his history, and that's concerning, with one of them being where he served 5 years TDC in 2015. It's based on his history. I don't think he'll comply with the bond order.
So I would tend to agree. So each of his cases, the best I'm going to do on those, the new case, the bond is absolutely reasonable. I think it's generous. The probation cases, though, I will set bonds of 50,000 for each case, cash surety. I think we need to work through our new case and see where we end up. If he's already done 5 TDC at some point, 3 TDC, you know, it's like we're going backwards. So I know you're going to do your job, Mr. Stevens, and we have settings. We will carry the probation cases with our settings in the 2022 case.
All right, thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chavez. Who's next?
Page 11, Judge.
Okay.
Alex, we have Romero.
Ms. Pages, did your other client from this morning check in? I haven't heard anything here. No?
No, Judge.
Okay, so Carla, let's just get it going. All right, Mr. Romero. Are you on this one, Ms. King?
For Mr.
Romero? Zoilo?
Yes, yes. I believe I am. Last time I checked. Yes, I am. I remember this one.
All righty, let's get going.
How you doing? Number 2020-0D0-2007, State of Texas versus Zoilo Gilberto Romero. Announcement and counsel, please.
Raul King for the state of Texas.
And Myrna Pages for Mr. Zoilo Romero. Ready, Your Honor.
Okay, so we're here just for a pre-revo hearing. Mr. Romero is appearing remotely from the jail annex. Several issues. Let's see. I guess Judge Reyes gave him a bond. Carla, can you talk to me a little bit about this case summary? The recommendation? Do we have new cases?
No, Judge.
Okay. Okay. It just says increase reporting and complete 2 UAs within 24 hours, then screen for EHN.
Your Honor, so, okay. Yes, I guess just to leave it to the court for you to admonish him and just kind of keep him more under the radar due to Mr. Romero failing to report and not keeping up with reporting to probation.
He's on deferred.
When he first initially was placed on probation, Judge, he reported, and then he stopped reporting in April 2021. And then he reported again. He was referred to EHN at San Vicente. He was receiving treatment at San Vicente Center. He was referred for mental health treatment. He was receiving medication. And then he was admitted at Recovery Alliance for 3 months. However, upon being released, more or less from, started, I believe, October 2021, November 2021 through December 21, he failed to report, Judge. And then come January 2022, he reported. There was a hearing scheduled in front of the court. And then he didn't report to the court, to the admonishment hearing, Judge. And then the bench warrant was issued, and then he didn't report thereafter.
So why don't we just wrap this up with 2 TDC and be done with it? I'm not real confident in Mr. Romero's ability to even perform remotely well on probation.
And Your Honor, I apologize.
So Judge, I don't know if Mr. Romero has ever done any type of inpatient treatment. Mr. Romero is willing to do a 90-day jail sanction. I don't know if the court would consider that. But I would like to inquire to see if he's been given any type of inpatient treatment such as BHRTC or maybe the 384 drug court program. There is a lot of history with mental health, Judge, and a lot of the issues that Mr. Romero has are solely basically a problem with drugs, Judge. And so I'm trying to see what, aside from TDC, could be available for him at this point.
Mr. Romero, hold on. Ms. King, you were going to say something?
Yes, Your Honor. I did receive an email. We had a brief email conversation back and forth with Ms. Pages. The state was at 3 years TDC, and the reason why it's a time recommendation is because of he doesn't have a prior pen trip. You do see a history kind of prior that he was placed on probation and then he was unsuccessful and was revoked. The prior pen trip was to 3 years TDC.
When was that?
Your Honor, that was, I believe it was 2014, 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I am, Ms. Pages. Mr. Romero, I don't know if you need to speak with your attorney or you're wanting to address me, but
I wouldn't mind, like, just to come forward. It's like I put myself in those treatment programs. I put myself in Recovery Alliance. I went to a Punto Partida. I was the one seeking help. You know what I mean? Because I knew I needed the help. Like I went on my way. I know what's been, but I was trying to do better. Like just recently, I started getting custody of my son. My baby was in federal custody, and I got custody of my son. Right now, my sister has him, and she's having a problem taking care of my son and stuff like that. I was working. It's just like I just wasn't taking the right medication at the time, and I apologize. I'm coming forward to you through that. Like I'm trying to get back on probation. Like right now, I'm in a program. In the jail program, it's called Chance. Like where I'm taking classes and stuff like that too. But it's just like I'm actually trying to be back on probation. Hopefully, I can be back out with my son.
so are you asking for a BHRTC screen, Ms. Pages?
Yes, Judge, if the court's not willing to do the 90-day sanction, then some sort of inpatient treatment that I can take to him in lieu of, I believe that the court said that you were at 2 years TDC. I know Ms. King's at 3, but just.
If you can't give you the 90-day sanction, you think you can just help, if you may be able to help me out, grab those 2 years, that way we can get all this out the way.
So those are the options, Ms. Pages. I'm going to reset you off for 2 weeks and you can let me know. Alrighty.
Okay, so it's 2 years TDC or BHRTC screening?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me go ahead and talk to him, Judge, and I will get with Ms. King.
All right. Thank you. What, was there any restitution outstanding or anything like that? Escape while arrested. That was dismissed. Okay.
I don't see any, Judge.
No, there wasn't any with it. Okay. Alrighty, just checking. All right. We'll come back in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Appreciate
Who's
it.
next?
That seems to be it, Judge.
Isn't there one more? Caudillo?
Mr. Caudillo got canceled, Judge. Got reset.
It got canceled? So you didn't have to worry, Carla? Is that the one that you messaged me about?
Yes, Judge. I was ready to go, but.
How did we cancel it? Did Mr. Romero send us something or what?
Judge, Mr. Romero called the court and said he was not prepared. He had not spoken to the ADAs and that he had not paid attention to the MTA that was on there. And he's not in jail. So I don't know what's going on.
There's an outstanding